සුපිරි අධිවේගයක් පරදා ඔබ මවිත කරවන වේගයක් විඳ ගන්න. පියවර 3කින් ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම් ෆයිබර් ඔප්ටික් ජාලයට එක්වන්න. slp.lk වෙත පිවිසෙන්න.
Good evening. Tonight, solving issues. Cabinet co-spokesperson Minister Rajitha Senaratne assures the salary discrepancy issue of train operators will be solved within 2 months. Statement on abduction. CID informs former President Mahinda Rajapaksa that they need to record a statement from him over the abduction and assault case of journalist Keith NOYAHR. Celebrating independence. Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka celebrates India's 72nd Independence Day in Colombo.
We are at a juncture in our history that is very different from any period we have so far experienced.
Weather alert. Department of Meteorology says that the current weather conditions are set to intensify in the coming days.
Our monsoonal flow over the Sri Lanka got strengthened during last 2 days.
And in international headlines, tragedy in Genoa. Rescuers continue to search for possible survivors after a dramatic collapse of a motorway bridge in northwestern Italy. Live across the nation, this is Sri Lanka's news channel, Derana 24/7. Hello everyone, I'm Mahesh Johnny and welcome to First at 9. Grief and anger over collapse in Genoa in Italy that killed 39 people. We'll have a full report of this story on our international segment. But first, we begin with local news. Thousands of devotees flocked to Mena to participate in the annual feast of Our Lady of Madhu today. Addressing the main event, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, highlighted the importance of being aware of various elements which lead the country's youth astray and destroy their spirituality. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe highlighted the religious events and ceremonies as components which strengthens the reconciliation process of Sri Lanka.
The annual feast of Our Lady of Madhu was held today under the auspices of Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was also among the thousands of devotees who participated in the feast today. We can see the youth in Sri Lanka have lost their way because of narcotics and their lifestyles. They die in strange parties. In this free economic system, there are various elements at play which lead children astray and destroy their spirituality. Discipline has diminished in Sri Lanka. People kill and steal for the smallest of reasons. This feast does not belong to the Catholic Church exclusively. It belongs to devotees of other religions and communities as well. All of them have come here. This has become not only a prominent religious site, but also a centre for reconciliation. After a brutal war of 30 years, it is through these sorts of religious ceremonies that we can strengthen reconciliation. Unfortunately, there are people who misinterpret the meaning of kindness in religion to portray hatred towards each other. We can't allow that to happen.
Tonight, we are reporting on another impending strike. Private bus operators are to engage in a strike from midnight tonight, in protest of the recently hiked fines relating to traffic law violations. The All Island Private Bus Workers Association is seeking a reversal of the hiked fines.
Government's Progressive Drivers Association, Lanka Passenger Transport Workers Association, Private Container Vehicles Association of the Port, Private Bus Drivers Association of the Western Province and the Intercity Three-Wheelers Association of Colombo are also in support of the strike set to be launched at midnight by the All Island Private Bus Workers Association. We're going to launch this strike against the newly introduced fines. We asked them to introduce a traffic surveillance system. Until then, they should impose old fines for traffic violations. However, All Island Bus Owners Association says that it will not support the strike. This isn't the time to engage in a strike since A-level students are engaged in examinations. So, I call on all bus workers not to engage in a strike. I should also say that we can't change laws. In the meantime, Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara pledges legal action against those who are responsible for violating traffic rules in spite of their social status. I've clearly asked all of you not to answer phone calls or requests by those who violated traffic laws. Make sure that you take legal action without any fear. Meanwhile, members of railway trade unions said they will recommence their strike on Tuesday if their demands are not met by early next week. Last Sunday, President Maithripala Sirisena accepted that we have made a reasonable request. It was then that he said he needed some time to implement the previously approved cabinet paper. We have given him a 7-day period, and if the president does not give us an acceptable reply, we will launch a strike. The finance minister said that he will not comply with our demands. We did not agree with him.
Cabinet co-spokesperson Dr. Rajda Senaratne insists that issues of train operators can be addressed through the new commission appointed to look into salary discrepancies in the state sector. Responding to journalists during the cabinet media briefing held today, the cabinet co-spokesperson said solutions to their issues will be forthcoming within 2 months.
The Cabinet of Ministers yesterday gave the green light to the proposal to enter into an agreement concerning double taxation and avoiding tax evasion between Sri Lanka and Oman, covering the fields of interests, royalties and dividends as well as profits of shipping services. The cabinet approval was also given to allocate a sum of $27.22 million as the government's contribution towards the Sustainable Fisheries Development Project in the Northern Province. It is worked off with assistance from the Asian Development Bank, which contributes $174 million. The Cabinet of Ministers meanwhile also gave the go-ahead for the proposal to award the procurement contract to purchase purified petroleum products to MS Gulf Petrochem FZC in order to keep sufficient petroleum stocks. In the meantime, the salary issue of train operators also surfaced during today's cabinet media briefing.
මේ මාසේ 9 වෙනිදා මෙයාලගේ වැටුප දුම්රියට විශේෂ වෙන විදිහට වෙනස් කරන්න කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ තීන්දුවක් අරගත්තට පස්සේ ඒක ක්‍රියාත්මක වන්නේ නැහැ. ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය තීන්දුව ගත්ත කැබිනට්.
The cabinet took the decision and asked them to report the method. That's when the issue arose. The issue was that there are other parallel grades. That's why a commission will be appointed and the report will be submitted within 2 months.
වාර්තාව ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න කියලා.
බජට් එකෙන් අර වර්ෂය අතරමැද ස්ට්‍රයික් වලින් ප්‍රොටෙස්ට් වලින් ඉල්ලන ඉල්ලීම් වලට ඒකෙන් වැටුප් වැඩිවීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා පොලිසි ඩිසිෂන් එකක් කරන් තියෙනවා රජය.
නෑ එහෙම 아무තු තීන්දුවක් කරගෙන නැහැ.
දැන් මංගල සමරවීර මහත්මයා ඔය කතාවක් නෑ මම කිව්වේ.
ඒත්මා මුදල් ඇමතිවරයා.
He must have been speaking as the Minister of Finance. It's not a policy decision of the government, but a decision of the Ministry of Finance.
මාධ්‍යංශයේ තීන්දුවක්.
බන්ධනාගාර ආරංචි මාර්ග සඳහන් කළා මේ පිටතින් මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය අඩංගු පාර්සල් 17ක් විසි කරලා තියෙනවා කියලා. ආරක්ෂාව පිළිබඳ තර්ජනයක් නේද තියෙන්නේ මේ වැලිකඩ බන්ධ.
ඔය වගේ
There are a number of such mistakes made in prison.
තීන්දුවනවා.
ශාල ඉල්ලීමක් තියෙනවා SLMC එකේ කම්පොසිෂන් එක වෙනස් කරන්න ඕන කියලා.
ඒ ඉල්ලීම ඉතා සාධාරණයි.
That request is fair. We want to establish a council that is similar to the British Medical Council. There should be a medical council not to protect the rights of doctors, but people. All decisions are taken to change the composition.
ඔක්කොම තීන්දුව අරගෙන තියෙනවා.
The Criminal Investigation Department has informed former President Mahinda Rajapaksa that they will visit his residence on Friday to record a statement regarding the abduction of journalist Keith NOYAHR. The former president also expressed his views over the matter in response to questions raised by journalists.
Keith NOYAHR, the former deputy editor of an English weekly newspaper, was abducted on the 22nd of May in 2008 and was later released near his residence after being subjected to assault. The CID also recorded a statement from Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. The CID has also informed the former president that they will visit his residence for a statement over the abduction case. When questioned on the matter while in Negombo, former President Rajapaksa had this to say. This is unnecessary. I think they wanted to sling mud at me. I really do not know the reason why I was called upon. I wonder whether they have any proof to say that I hit this man. I'm 100% sure what the Speaker's reply would be if we become independent in Parliament. He will say that we were elected to Parliament from that party and therefore have no right to ask for the post of opposition leader. Therefore, we have no big hopes.
State Minister of Home Affairs J.C. Alawathura expresses satisfaction over efforts of the government of good governance in safeguarding democracy in the country. Addressing a media briefing held at the United National Party headquarters, Sirikotha today, that the State Minister said that the government has provided a democracy which is similar to that of developed countries.
When we took over this government in 2015, this country was in a very difficult stage. We were in a helpless state where the United States had imposed sanctions on us through the Human Rights Council. We got GSP Plus back. You know, a number of journalists left the country and some others were killed. In the incident of Ratupaswala, people were killed using forces. We have introduced the Police Commission and the Right to Information Act. We have given democracy to people of this country through legislation itself. This is something that is not done by any previous government. In the meantime, a meeting of trade union leaders of the United National Party was held under the patronage of the party's General Secretary, Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam, at the party headquarters today. Although the local authorities' election was not beneficial for the UNP, it will be for the presidential election. It's not that we don't have mishaps. Although we have a lot of issues, we should carry on this journey. You are the people that had to go through all hardships. Keep in mind, you'll get even more than what you deserve. Some accused us of not catching thieves. Yes, a mistake was done in that regard. Yet, we lawyers know that according to the legal system of the country, we can't catch thieves as quickly as we want to. It's because we want to catch thieves that we have established special high courts, and the thieves will have no chance at all.
We got a weather alert tonight. Prevailing rains and winds are affecting several districts in the island as damages are reported from Ratnapura, Kandy, Kurunegala, Jaffna and Kaluthara. The Department of Meteorology meanwhile says that the current weather conditions are set to intensify in the coming days.
Due to rainy conditions in the Central Hills, 3 spill gates of the Upper Kotmale Reservoir are now open. Moreover, Kasori and Mausakale reservoirs too have reached spill level. The spill gates of Lakshapana, Canyon and Norton Bridge reservoirs too are open due to prevailing rains. In the meantime, 5 houses were damaged owing to heavy rains in Gregory Plantation in the area of Dimbulapatana. More than 80 houses in the area of Virambugedere in Kurunegala are damaged owing to inclement weather, while 2 people were hospitalized with injuries. In the Kaluthara district, some houses also sustained damages owing to high winds. Steps were taken to withhold water and electricity supply in several areas. In the meantime, 11 houses were reported damaged due to windy conditions in Karenagar and Ponnela areas in Jaffna. The Department of Meteorology, however, says that an increase in winds and rains can be expected during the coming days.
Due to the formation of the typhoon in the Pacific Ocean, our monsoonal flow over the Sri Lanka got strengthened during last 2 days, and also we can expect during next few days as well. Particularly in the southwestern part of the island, will receive the rainfall, fairly heavy rainfall around 75 millimeters, and also windy condition are also expected to continue during next 2 days as well.
The landmark ruling given in the case filed by a school groundskeeper, Dwayne Johnson, who alleged the weedicide he was using in his work Roundup produced by the company Monsanto led to his cancer, has opened up the debate on the use of glyphosate-based weed killer. With the likes of Germany announcing that they expect to phase out the use of weedicide involving glyphosate, Sri Lanka's Department of Agriculture insists otherwise, saying the matter requires further discussion. Not all are in agreement with him, as Dr. Sarath Gunathilaka from the California State University calls for the immediate import ban on the production in question.
In a landmark case on Friday, Monsanto was ordered to pay $289 million in damages to former school groundskeeper Dwayne Johnson, who claimed that the weedicide he used in his work with glyphosate as its core ingredient caused his cancer, while his doctors say he is unlikely to live past 2020. Johnson's victory on Friday set a massive precedent for thousands of other cases, claiming Monsanto's famous herbicide causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. As the saga of the weedicide continues, Reuters quoted a spokesman for Germany's Ministry of Environment as saying that the use of glyphosate-based weed killers would be halted during the current legislative period, which ends in 3 years. Monsanto, acquired by Bayer for $63 billion, faces more than 5,000 similar lawsuits across the United States. The company plans to appeal the verdict. After the ruling by California jury, which deemed Monsanto failed to give adequate warning over risk of cancer its weed killer Roundup posed to users, shares of the Germany company fell more than 10%. In Sri Lanka, however, glyphosate was banned in 2014, only for the ban to be lifted on the 11th of July this year. It has since faced much criticism from various factions owing to its alleged harm to human health. Convening a media briefing yesterday, the Government Medical Officers Association charged that they will take legal action against the ad hoc manner in which glyphosate is being imported to the country.
According to law, Health Secretary's approval should be taken before importing pesticides to Sri Lanka. So if the Health Ministry is against pesticides, especially this glyphosate, how can his secretary give the approval for that? So we are asking whether the Health Secretary has given the approval for this. If not, we have to take legal action against this unhealthy move. So in future, we are going to legal action against these illegal activities.
Speaking exclusively from the California State University in the United States, Dr. Sarath Gunatilaka meanwhile spoke on the medical and legal implications arising from the verdict given by San Francisco jurors on the use of glyphosate-based weed killer.
If the government does not rescind or revoke the relaxation of the glyphosate ban or revoke the gazette that relaxes the glyphosate ban, it opens up for lots of legal issues, legal complaints, not only against the government, but also against the pesticide companies and the pesticide registrar who has imported these chemicals. Like in the case of Mr. Johnson's, you don't have to prove that glyphosate exactly, glyphosate only ingredient that caused the cancer, or glyphosate is the only ingredient that causes health effects. They only have to prove that it was a substantial contributor to this health effects. And it makes the use of glyphosate really cost ineffective. It will be, if we use glyphosate, it will be at an enormous cost.
When First at 9 inquired on the implication of the U.S. court case against Monsanto, the Director General of Agriculture, Dr. W.M.W. Weerakoon, however, affirmed that the use of glyphosate-based products does not harm the environment. When asked if the government will take action following the verdict against Monsanto, the Director General said that they hope to take up the matter at a meeting in the coming days, adding that decisions will have to be taken on a scientific basis.
In other local stories we have for you tonight, a member of the Patriotic Professionals Forum, Dr. Nalaka Gudahewa, calls for war heroes to be given their due respect as they sacrifice much for the nation. He expressed these views at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
We have a government which has absolutely no regard for the war heroes. We all know these men and women rescued us from the clutches of terrorism after 30 years of suffering in the hands of one of the most brutal terrorist organizations. Any other country which has gone through this situation will do everything possible to give the due recognition to the war heroes and to protect them. But today in Sri Lanka, we have a situation where these war heroes are being persecuted by their own government to please the whims and fancies of extremist Tamil diaspora and some Western powers.
Dr. Gudahewa also expressed his views on the proposed constitution.
The unitary state is once again a threat. We can see clear attempts by the government under the instructions of their Western masters to bring a new constitution which has a hidden agenda of giving what the terrorists couldn't win even after 30-year-long war. And the most dangerous thing is these proposals will be brought to the parliament through the back door. And like how they manipulated the 19th Amendment and many other acts thereafter, this whole process will be manipulated.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank decided to extend the suspension of business and activities of a primary dealer of Pan-Asia Banking Corporation (PLC) for a period of 6 months with effect from today in order to continue the investigations being conducted by them. The Central Bank says this regulatory action restricts PABC's access to primary auctions for government securities and it does not affect any of the other activities or services of Pan-Asia Banking Corporation. The President of India, Ramnath Kovind, notes that the expansion of freedom in the country amounts to freedom of women. Addressing a ceremony to mark the 72nd Independence Day of India today in Colombo, Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, read out a message by the Indian head of state.
The flag-hoisting ceremony marking the 72nd Independence Day of India was held at the India House in Colombo today with the presence of India High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sandhu.
Freedom is a broader concept. It is not fixed and finite. Freedom is a constant and relentless endeavor. Women have a special role in our society. The expansion of freedom in our country, in many senses, amounts to expansion of freedom for women. We are at a juncture in our history that is very different from any period we have so far experienced. Universal access to electricity, the elimination of open defecation, the elimination of homelessness, the very elimination of extreme poverty is achievable and attainable. We are at a pivotal moment. Let consensus issues and extraneous debates not distract us.
Villagers of Sucharitagama in Anuradhapura captured an eagle and handed it over to the Wildlife Health Management Division in Pandulagama of Anuradhapura. Villagers claim that the eagle was in the area over the last few days and attempted to snatch several children. They also claim that a 7-year-old girl sustained injuries inflicted by its talons and was treated at the Anuradhapura hospital. Youths in the area trapped the eagle and handed it over to the wildlife officials. However, speaking to Derana environmentalist Sajiva Chamikara said the idea that the eagle attempted to snatch children cannot be accepted as Sri Lankan eagle species are not capable of doing so. He added it was wrong to capture the eagle and those responsible can be arrested without warrants.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Business news now. All flights between Colombo and Cochin in India are cancelled until this Saturday afternoon due to the floods at the Cochin airport premises. The airport officials' website announced that the suspension of operations at the Cochin International Airport will continue until 2 p.m. on Saturday. The website also said that several flights had been diverted, cancelled and indefinitely delayed. The decision to suspend the operations was taken after shutters of 2 dammed parts of Idukki Reservoir were opened yesterday evening to release excess water. Let's now take a look at some corporate news in brief.
Following extensive research conducted on healthy living across Asia, AIA Insurance announced a new brand promise to help Sri Lankans live healthier, longer and better lives. The launch was held in Colombo recently under the auspices of AIA's CEO Pankaj Banerjee. During the event, it was announced that the AIA Healthy Living Index showed Sri Lanka is facing a critical illness finance gap where savings, current levels of insurance and government health provisions may not be enough to pay for the treatment for critical illnesses. Aluminium Extrusions producer Alumex recently unveiled the country's first fully automated front-loading aluminium extrusion plant and South Asia's first vertical powder coating facility with patented SAT Trevision Cube technology in the area of Ekala in Jayala. The 2 billion rupee mega project located in Minuwangoda will officially make Alumex PLC the largest aluminium extruder in Sri Lanka in terms of scale and output. Business hubs in Sri Lanka celebrated Sri Lanka's first ever International Co-working Day in Colombo recently. It's a celebration of the origins of co-working and was celebrated in over 5,000 co-working centres across the globe in 2017. The event saw the participation of young entrepreneurs and startups.
In international business, Turkey has sharply raised tariffs on US imports, including passenger cars, alcohol and tobacco. A decree signed by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan raised the tariffs on cars to 120%, on alcoholic drinks to 140% and on leaf tobacco to 60%. The US doubled tariff last week over Turkey's refusal to extradite a US pastor who is imprisoned there. Turkey's weakened currency, the lira, plunged by more than 20% in response to those US sanctions. Explaining the new tariffs, Turkish Vice President said that the rises were ordered within the framework of reciprocity in retaliation for the conscious attacks on Turkey's economy by the US administration. Let's take you to the stock market now. Shares fell for a fourth straight session today as foreign investors pared holdings in market heavyweight John Keel's holdings amid global worries. Analysts said that lackluster corporate results also hit investors' appetite for riskier assets. The all-share price index fell 0.43% to 6,086.74, its lowest close since the 10th of July. Let's now cross over to Amanda Lukugamage from First Capital Holdings for a detailed report.
All-share price index continued its negative momentum amid thin turnover and volumes with no crossings, while price decline in Black Lanka Finance and Ceylon Tobacco caused losses in the index. All-share price index had volatile momentum during the day, reaching an intraday high of 6,113 points and closed at 6,087, losing 26 points. Reversing the trend witnessed in previous trading days, a net foreign outflow was witnessed with high foreign participation.
The Sri Lankan rupee hit a record low today, tackling weaknesses in emerging market currencies as Turkey's financial woes bruised investor risk appetite. The rupee fell to an all-time low of 160 rupees and 30 cents per dollar, surpassing the previous record of 160 rupees and 17 cents hit on June 17th. With that, let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies from across the world. International news now. Rescuers in the northwestern Italian city of Genoa continue to search for possible survivors after the dramatic collapse of a motorway bridge. The Interior Minister said that at least 35 people were killed when dozens of vehicles fell 45 meters. More than 400 people have been evacuated amid fears other parts of the bridge might fall.
Helicopter footage released by the Italian Fire Brigade yesterday showed the full destruction after a motorway bridge collapsed in the northern Italian port city of Genoa, killing dozens. Firefighters have been working on the scene from the morning, searching for survivors and bodies amid the rubble of the 45-meter-high section of the bridge that crashed down with as many as 35 vehicles driving on it onto the roofs of warehouses and other buildings. Italy's ANSA news agency said that at least 35 probably died during the bridge collapse. A video published online captured the moment the motorway bridge collapsed in the northern Italian port city.
Oddio santo! Porca puttana!
The cause of the disaster was not immediately clear, but questions had been raised about the safety of the structure. Italy's Interior Minister has vowed to bring anyone responsible for the collapse to book. The Morandi Bridge, built in the 1960s, stands on the A10 toll motorway, an important conduit for goods traffic from local ports, which also serves the Italian Riviera and southern coast of France.
More stories from across the world.
Dozens of cars have been set alight in Sweden on Monday night in what police say may be a coordinated criminal action. Police said that up to 100 cars were either set fire or vandalized in Gothenburg and in nearby towns such as Trollhättan, an industrial area with high unemployment, and Falkenberg. Police did not say what might have spurred the violence, confirming only that gangs of youths were involved, but did not say how many people. Venezuela's chief prosecutor says 2 high-ranking military officers, a colonel and a general, were arrested for their alleged involvement in drone explosions during a speech by President Nicolas Maduro earlier this month. The South American country's government has accused opposition politicians and anti-Maduro activists abroad of scheming to assassinate the leftist leader with the drones, which were laden with explosives during a military parade. Swimmer Ross Edgley broke the world record for the longest staged sea swim yesterday when he completed 74 days in the sea as he attempts to swim around Britain. The record, which needs to be verified by the open water swimming authorities, bettered the 73 days that Frenchman Benoit Lecomte set when swimming across the Atlantic in 1998. Edgley, who swims for 6 hours at a time with 6-hour rest, says swimming at night and jellyfish were the worst obstacles he has had to overcome. A trapped whale was rescued by Chile in the seas of the Chilean Patagonia region this week thanks to a coordinated effort. The whale was stuck in a fishing net, leading Chile's maritime authority to call on fishermen to remove the nets after the rescue.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, ABDUCTION 24/7.
A very good evening everyone and welcome to Forecast First. Warm and sunny is what the weather forecast will be in the northern and eastern provinces of the island for tomorrow. Those in Mullaitivu and Batticaloa districts in particular will have to brace themselves for some hot weather. As usual, the central hills will be much milder, with the lowest temperature expected being 20 degrees Celsius. Moving on to a rain forecast, those who are in the lower part of the country, especially in the western, central and southern provinces, will experience showers or thunder showers during the day. That's it from your weather center tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on ABDUCTION 24/7. First at 9 will return tomorrow at the same time. Until then, make sure that you join us tomorrow. Well, before we wrap things up, we'd like to take you back to Mena, where the annual feast of Our Lady of Madhu was held today. Thousands of devotees flocked to the historical Church of Our Lady of Madhu, which is one of the most prominent religious sites in the nation. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, ABDUCTION 24/7.